is about the focus, how to keep the story focused. The second, how to prepare the outline for the story and the story structure. For the first point, let's move to the focus and are responsible for this point. The point how to keep the story focused. As we know that after we read the document or interview, there will be a lot of idea or information that you will get from those sources. So we have to be focused in order to write our story. So the first thing we have to do is know clearly what our story is about. And then we write a hypothesis by giving the background and information that we know and summarize it into a single sentence here, just like a paragraph that covers 5 W and A. Just a short one. And then we just reread the ideas of the writing here, mean that we just reread what we include in the summary point, the summary paragraph, whether it's all the information, all the important is in. And in order to make sure that we include all the things in, we can try it by the market test. The market test here, just like they give the example, like if we have only 30 seconds in order to tell, our story to a friend. So what we gonna tell them first? So in here we have to think about what is the most important point for our story. What are we trying to prove? Just like what is the point that we're gonna write and pick up in order to tell others. And then who are the major players? What is the importance of telling the story now? Whether it's the hot story or whether it's just like a simple story. And then we have to know what should be changed and how. Just like we reread it again and check through this 5 points in order to make some change. And don't be afraid to keep our focus narrow, because like a highly researched and focused on our story is always better than the unwidely essay or not really focused to the point. And then the second about outline can be represent you. Oh no, we said represent you.
For the outline, it's just the guide the writer to write the investigative story. And the first one is to identify the topic. Identify and order your main point. The first, identify the topic. Make sure that your topic is helpful you to do the investigative story, and people really want to know it. And second, you just list down the main point that you have researched. And those main points can be collected from, as we learned, from CP, like your notebooks, document, internet, or someone quote. And then, after you collect all the information for your story, you should select the most relevant information, and then list down again. And after that, you write the timeline of event. The story do not necessarily to follow the chronological order. It means that if you know one thing, that thing is, for example, that thing is the third thing in your story, but do not let it be just put that thing in your note. Do not need to make it in the right order. It can it avoid that you may sometimes forget that point, and that point should be the important point in your story. So just put it. Do not let it. You don't necessarily to list down all the things in chronological order. And the story structure will be presented by Gilly and Hiroshi.
Thank you, sir, for your presentation. And after you have heard about the focus point and outline of the in-depth writing, now let's move to the story structure. So after you make the outline, you have to move yourself into the writing process. And in story structure, according to Carol Rich, he has said that there are 5 structural models. The first one is the high-five formula. The second one is Bostrom formula. Third, pyramid structure. Fourth, chronological. And the fifth one is section technique. And now move to the first, the high-five formula. We have the high-five formula here. We have news, content, scope, age, and impact. As you see, news, content, age, and impact are the things that we can also find in the, we can call it simple news, hot news, or picture. But one thing that is very important in investigative story is scope. So you have to check whether your news, whether you have enough scope to write that investigative story or not. And the second one is, the second one is Bostrom formula. Here we have to write in order, such as the first we have to write the soft lead, and then hypothesis, further explanation, and ending with circle kicker. The soft lead, for example, like we write about the beggar. So we have to choose one beggar as the sample of the other, and at the soft lead we just introduce that beggar, whether he is begging for money or was sitting anywhere. So it's called soft lead. And then at the hypothesis we summarize the background of that beggar. And move to the third point is further explanation. So we can tell the reader that not only that beggar that we was talking about, but there are a lot of beggars at that place too. And the first one is circle kicker. As you see here, circle kicker is the information that related to the first thing, to the soft lead. Like an example, I read an example about a beggar. So at the end of the story, we have to also state about that beggar. Even in the further explanation, we talk about other, but at the end we have to circle kicker, mean kick to the lead again. And the third model is pyramid structure. As you can see the word pyramid here, it will remind you about the inverted pyramid structure, and it seems contrast to each other. Here we divide it into 3, lead, body, and ending. At the lead part, we have to summarize the story, and for set the wing, mean we summarize the story and give the hint to the reader whether what we want to write about the story, what makes the reader doubt, and after that we can make the doubt into the answer. So we can make the reader know clearly about the doubt and have no doubt anymore. And move to the body, like I have said, play-by-play description. It allows us to tell the story chronologically. Means we have to tell what happened first and next, so that the reader can know clearly. If we just tell this happened and that happened, and those things also happen, so the reader cannot catch what we want to talk about. So it has to be in chronological. And the ending of the story, we have to say the most important event at the end. Like the reader, at the first part, the reader was, they have a question in their mind, what happened and what is the effect of that thing. And at the ending point,